Cecil Gaines was born in the South on a sharecropper farm and was taught to serve after the death of his father. And he became the house butler, you know, a servant at that time. And then he moved to the north and he became a butler. And it was there that he was brought into the White House and started to serve the president. He served 8 presidents. In the movie, we explore like the love relationship he has with his wife and with his son, and the relationship that he has with the White House and with the country through my son. Because my son, like myself, who cares so much about building a better life, my son decides to go out into the world and try to force the world to allow him to have a better life in the civil rights movement. And so he's a part of the civil rights movement, and a lot of it is about the prodigal son kind of sort of friction that happens between me and my son, but ultimately through appreciation of each other, we do come back together and make the family whole. I mean, it's just an amazing story. And of course, Eugene Allen, whom this story is based upon, but this butler who served 8 presidents in the White House while trying to raise his family and live a good life was extraordinary. And as an artist, it was an amazing challenge. And I needed a challenge like that for myself. So there were so many areas I had to learn and gather from working on this part. And it's a blessing, really. Yeah, no, I met Lee a few times before, and he had spoken to me at one point about a part in one of his films. And then I ran into him when Precious was going on during that period. But no, and they just called me, and actually I came in to audition for the role. So it wasn't like I was just offered the role or anything like that, you know. And they were seeing, I guess he saw maybe 6 or so people at the same day that he saw me. It was great, you know, because he's so present and so there and cares so much about the film. And, you know, he's not a filmmaker that when you go over, he's not like totally absorbed in the emotion of what's going on. You'll go over and he'll be laughing uncontrollably, or you'll go over and he'll be weeping, you know, tears falling from his face, you know, about what's going on. Or did something reminded him of like a relative or thing. Like there were sometimes I think when might play the character that he would get those feelings. Oh, I loved working with Oprah. We wanted to work together before. We talked about doing a play at one point. I talked to her about a film I was going to maybe direct, you know, to try to get a chance to work together. And then this came about, and I actually, when I auditioned, I read with her for Lee, you know, and she was already playing Gloria at that time, and it just magic was happening. I think throughout the process, she was so committed to the part and so talented, so amazed. We'd walk back and forth from set together, talking or holding hands, just staying connected, because it was important to show the intimacy and the love between this man and this woman. I did. I had a blast. I mean, first off, just the guys who were with me in the White House, with Lenny and with Cuba, they were hilarious. I mean, they were funny, and I think we had a camaraderie and they were so good in the movie. And then, of course, you know, the relationship with me and my son is kind of a foundational block of the movie. The prodigal son issue of me and my son and our relationship. So David Oyelowo was really great and really carrying forward that civil rights movement. And you know, every president that would come in was unusual for me, because it would be a whole new grouping of people. And I would be the same, other than maybe changing a tuxedo to a different period, you know? And there'd be a whole new group of staff, and there'd be a new president and actors who work very differently from each other, which was great, because each president was supposed to be different, you know? And so I would be getting to know everybody and working and listening and hearing, so they can hear what they're thinking and feeling, as I would, you know, being in service and trying to make sure that all the needs of the principal of the president were taken care of. 2 things. I think I hope that they recognize that the love of family and the love of trying to through all its troubles and stuff, that it's possible to reconcile, it's possible to stay together through love, you know? And then I think it's important that what the message says is, in whatever way you can, to always to try to stand up for social injustices and issues that you see. You know, whether it's in a quiet way, like a phone call, a slipped note, a private conversation, or whether it's out loud, you know, like in the Arab Spring or Occupy Wall Street, or those in dealing with the Trayvon Martin situation, or whatever you feel is an injustice, Oscar Grant, however, you know, just speak up so that you can be actively involved in that conversation to change it to the planet and the world that you want it to be.